Alrighty guys, so welcome back to NZ Motor Outlaw Kustoms. So you had that bit of a clean up yesterday and had a babysit. Just with the medical issues that are going on with Rachel's oldest boy. So she had to go away and see him again yesterday, so that's going to be a bit continuing for a while yet until he recovers more. But anyway, I've decided that I need to suss out this windscreen, drop it down a little bit, and take that rubber out and then drop it down, which means I'm going to pull the dash out. So while I've got the dash out, I'm going to finish putting the cluster together with what we've got, and I'll put that in. The only one gauge that's not going to be in there and working will be the fuel gauge. We can attack that later on. It's not difficult to actually unscrew the pieces and slip it out. It all comes out from the back, so it can be replaced. I wouldn't say it's going to be easy, but at least everything else will be in there, and it's not critical for it running. So yeah, we can fit that in the dash and put everything back in while we've got it out, if you know what I mean. So a bit of a pain in the butt, have to pull all that shit out to undo the bolts to pull the post off to drop it down. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. I did contemplate doing maybe mucking around with the diff or putting the carburetor together, but I think I might as well. I'm working in this area, so I might as well get it sorted. Unless then if the rubber is still too short, we can order a slightly deeper one. That was actually the shortest one, and when I measured from here to here, I thought it was going to be plenty long enough, but it must be just where it fits up into the body. It must fit up there a bit further than what I thought originally. I thought it would have been plenty. It is, it's plenty on the other side, but just with the shape of that, and for some reason it sits a bit higher on this side, well, it's just one of those things. But yeah, I think if I get that rubber out, at least that'll drop it down a couple of mil, and that'll help close the gap. And even if I do the other side, it might be enough to put it down a little bit further too, so we'll see. If it is too short, we'll just order one that's a little bit deeper. They come, they actually come really quite long. I think it's 50 mils, the biggest, like 2 inches. That one's 32, which must be about, it's 25-ish is roughly an inch. So it must be inch and a quarter. Yeah, it must be about an inch and a quarter thereabouts, deep. So yeah, or maybe we just might have to go 1.5 inches, sort of type thing. 34, 36 mil. Just to give that extra couple of millimetres so it sits down on that rubber nice. And worst comes to worst, we can always trim it a little bit off the other side. We can trim a couple mil off it and taper it to the other side if we have to. I don't need another one, but yeah, we'll see if we can make that one fit first. So I'll pull this off. I know that looks a bit dubious, but I'm already scared shit. I'll quickly make a gasket up, a paper gasket up. It's actually not that thick, is it? I don't know if it's going to make much difference at all, but we'll try. We'll make this one come back. Yeah, so unfortunately it's not going to work, but that's okay. We're just going to order it. And, you know, maybe a couple deeper with a wee bit extra on the side, and we'll just trim it for the other side if we have to. So that's 32. We might order maybe 40 or something like that. We'll have to have a bit more of a measure. I sort of measured that side, I think. I forgot about this side was a bit higher. I thought it might have been okay, but it's just not going to sit there nicely. And I'll probably overstretch this too, pulling it in. That's probably why it sits a little bit funny there. So if we get a fresh piece, you know, we know it will go in there. You know, I'll put a heaps of freaking lube on it and we'll pull it through. But I've actually got a piece of rubber seal here. It's not really the right thing, but it's as close as we're going to get. We've got this as a sample to fit in here. Sorry, that way. So I am going to trim. I'll put you on the bench so I can hold it, show you. So since we're going to order this gasket anyway, or a piece like this, so I think to make this fit down, so if this is the top of the cowl, and that would be pointing forward, so this would be the piece, we'll have to trim this off once it's in there, and this piece here, it's too fat, but if I trim it on a bit of an angle, like, I can't show you, it's a bit awkward to do like that, but yeah, if I trim it something like that, so I've just got a little thin little slither on this edge, and sort of trim the thickness of this off if I can. So that will slip down in. I'll try and show you. Right, yeah, so this edge, bottom edge, is going to wedge itself down in there. So this is a bit thick. So yeah, I think if I can slice it off on a bit of an angle and sort of taper it, you know, so we'll see where it's got that little skinnier piece in on it, and that before it gets thicker again. If I can sort of taper it from there down a little bit, maybe half that depth, and see if it'll wedge in there, and then once we actually got the gasket round, I could trim a lot of this top edge away, because it only has to sit over this edge. I'd actually would have preferred it was a wee bit deeper this way, but there's not much we can do about it. I think it'll still work. It's about the right shape, if you know what I mean. It's close. Right, so that's a bit of a comparison. You can see that or not. So it's kind of the right shape, but not really. But it's as close as we can get. But yeah, we haven't really got much choice, if you know what I mean. There's no gaskets available for it. So the only other thing you could probably do would be, I can tape all that up like really well, and then frickin' wash a hole with the bloody urethane in there or something like that, and like really mush it in and squash that piece down in, and then tape it out wide and have it so like it sort of mould it and let it cure, and then pull all the tape off. That would be the only other way around it, I think. But it would permanently glue the bloody thing in there. So I'm hoping we might be able to make this thing work. You know, it might have, by the time you sort of crush it in there, squash in there, it might, you know, give to what it needs to be. It's not really the right thing, but it's, you know, without getting the right thing, it's sort of hard. And like I did inquire a few times through some of the Studebaker Facebook pages and stuff like that, and nobody said there was somebody that made a gasket for these early things. It's surprising because there's a few of them around, and like I'm guessing maybe the big six and all that sort of stuff might have been the same profile gasket, if you know what I mean. It might have been larger, I don't fucking know, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I'll have a wee play and see if I can trim this off and at least make this piece fit, and then we know whether we can, if it's worth ordering, you know, half a metre or whatever it is to go around there and make it work, if you know what I mean. So yes, one more piece to the puzzle if it works. Well, I think it will work. It's going to be a bitch to get in, but I think it'll work. What I might do is grab the little door, and we'll just poke it in there and just see. But yeah, it's going to be a bitch to get in. I don't know how I'm going to get it in there when it's all the way around. I really don't know. I really don't know. Definitely work. We'll just have to trim that edge off. It pokes into the centre. Tension on there, I think that'll be sitting there quite nicely. Yes, I think that'll work. Might even be able to leave that there, I don't know. Might just have to trim it in the corners maybe. But, yeah. Right, that's good. That rubber will work. Excellent. Excellent. Right, we'll have another wee measure here. Just do another wee work out and just see exactly what we need on that other side. It's unfortunate that I think partly what it is the one here, and I think I did notice it earlier, but we didn't really do anything with it. I see here on this casting, in here, this is down, it's below centre, the nut. Oh, come on, focus, phone, focus thing. It's kind of below centre, that nut in the middle of that casting where they bored the hole for the pivot for the windscreen. But on the other side, it's high. Yeah, so if we go on this other side here, so the casting's way down here, and it's up near the top. So if that had been more central, I don't think we would have had so much of an issue. Yeah, I don't think we would have had near the issue if that had been more centred or down further or something like that, if you know what I mean. So I think that's part of the problem. Because when I cut this frame up to repair it, I made a jig, you know, with pieces screwed into here, plus the rough outside of the frame shape. So when I put it back in, it was always going to be in the same spot, and I tack welded it all in what was in the jig, and I wouldn't say I fully welded it in the jig, but I tack welded it fairly well in the jig. You know, because we had to rebuild all these corners, and I rebuilt the corners all in the jig. Because yeah, I cut it through, I don't know, through here somewhere and through here somewhere, and then these were cut that way, and then they were split in half as well through the centre of it. So I had it in like the whole corner in like 4 pieces or 8 pieces or whatever it was, and then rebuild it from the inside out to rebuild both corners. But yeah, so the length never changed or anything like that, and the shape never changed. It all matched back up, but it's just for some reason, yeah. I think that's probably part of it. and it may have pulled a slightly tighter angle in there when I welded it back together, but yeah, I think that's probably the bulk of it if that had been drilled. You're down, you know, probably 1/4 of an inch, 5-6 mil, which it could have been quite easy. That would have made a hell of a difference here. That's, you know, at least that gap, you know, close to that gap, would have closed it up. So anyway, we'll just order a longer rubber. If I can get it to come down to this edge, to that lip, will be good. So yeah, it's good on that. It's good right on over that edge. It's good right into here. You know, it's pretty good here, but then it slowly goes away. Like that would have been fine if it was like that, across all the way across there, but it just slowly gets wider and wider and wider. It's really good on the side. Well and truly, but yeah. I thought we'd order long enough. But that's cool. I know that rubber will work with some perseverance. That's cool. We'll use that. And yeah, we'll just work out how much more we need. Which I'd say at least 5 or 6 mil deeper, just to be safe. And then, yeah, hopefully I don't stretch it too, because I reckon I've stretched it here. So if we lubricate the crap out of it, we should get it in there. Alright. So, yeah. We'll go from there, I think. We'll get some bits ordered. Righty. I just had a quick measure from the bottom of the nut here down to this edge. Yeah, and it's freaking, it's about 5 mil higher on the other side. So that's what's screwing us up there. So I was right, because they hadn't drilled this in here properly. Yeah, if you hold a tape or a ruler from here to here, yeah, it's about 5 mils difference. I think it was, what was it, 465 on one side and 470 on the other millimeters. So yeah, it was the difference between here and here. So yeah, so if we're talking inches, yeah, we're not quite 1/4 of an inch, but close. What about 3/8 of an inch-ish? Maybe 3/8. Oh no, not 3/8. 47. Oh, I don't know. It's not quite 1/4 of an inch, but it's whatever, you know what I mean. It's about. Yeah, so we'll order some slightly deeper rubber. I just put a bit of tape on it, a bit of tape to the bottom of it, and it sort of put an indent in it. So that's how much deeper it needs to be on the side. And just tape it back. So and I've measured this. Try and show you. So yeah, I actually thought when they measured this that it's, because this was meant to be 32 mil, but I actually thought it was from the bottom of the T to here, but it's the total thing. It's the total height, and it's barely 32 mils, which is, I don't know, whatever, inch and a 1/4 or thereabouts. So yeah, it really needs to be. Get a bit of the working part of the ruler, which is not so fucking hard to read. Where are we going to the 3 M? So it needs to be about 38 millimeters, or yeah, 1.5 inches. So it's quite a difference. And we'll just have to slowly trim it back, and we'll just leave it slightly longer on the side so it's not quite so obvious. But you know, we'll probably trim half that off to the other side, or something like that, and just leave it a little bit long. And hopefully nobody will notice. But yeah, that was what's the issue is. Yeah, because they drilled those holes in a different place. Yeah, doesn't help, does it? But anyway, not much you can do about it. at the end of the day, I could actually probably sneak another piece of rubber underneath there and just pop it up a little bit, but I'd rather just fucking leave it alone and just get a longer rubber. Because I thought maybe you could balance it out a little bit, but it's not much I can do about it. You know, if you had a few of them to pick from, you could probably muck around and pick two that were close and maybe, you know, muck around and alter it or something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things. And it's not to say that these here, you know, milled exactly the same either, you know, like there could be quite a bit of discrepancy with these pieces too, which wouldn't help the situation. So yeah, she's quite a bit higher on the other side. Right, one gauge installed. So now we will go fit that back in the dash, and with 3 nuts, because that's all I can find that are right through it at the moment. It's all good. We can soon get another one pop in there and put the hand up in there and put it on and tighten it up at some point. When I find another one that's the right thread. There's these same thread as this. I'm just going to run them all up and down here a couple of times to make sure they are fine before I wind them into that dash panel. So yeah, it's good to have that done. Yeah, like I said, this is the only one that hasn't been sorted, but yeah, we need to, when we can, get those bits ordered. You know, it's one of those things we can just, it's only temporarily held in there too at the moment with a bit of tape with that piece. So yeah, when we get the bits, we can soon pop it out of there and put it together and put it in. Yeah, when we get to that far, you know, it's not critical to start the vehicle. Nor is that either, but you know, at least we're I don't know, 4/5 of the way there with these. Clock works. The only thing the other thing we're going to do is organise a little brass button handle or something to go on the bottom of that at some point. Righty, so dash is back in. I'm going to have to try and get some better screws from here. Just these old original ones, now that I've screwed this in a couple of times, it must have pulled the thread on the brass. It just won't grip very well now on a couple of these ones. So I really need to change them, which is a pain in the fucking ass because of the, again, that funny, weird, fine American thread. Sorry guys. Fucking pain in the ass in here. Just a real pain. We're still waiting for ones for across the top, so hopefully they might be long enough to do in here. Because of the same thread. But yeah, a freaking headache to get here. Just, I don't know why some of that stuff's just so strange, but it's not easy to get. So yeah, I'm just going to tighten up one screw on there. I've only got the 3 screws in here at the moment. But yeah, everything else is all done up. But yeah, these won't tighten up. They sort of wound all the way in, and then you go to tighten up that last little bit. Must be the piece of thread where you pulled on them a few times, and yeah, fucking pain in the ass. But anyway, not much I can do about it. It's just one of those fucking things. You know, when you're trying to use 100-year-old hardware, it just doesn't like being screwed in and out too many times. But yeah, dash looks good on a bonus note. So yeah, the only other thing I do is tighten up the 2 bolts on the bottom of the column for the bracket. As you can see, there's a gap here at the moment. I've just wound them in there. I haven't tightened them up. Yeah, but yeah, it's in there. So yeah, it's good to have that in. The only nut I'm missing is off the back of the main body is this one, which is really easy to get to. I did the top ones and that one there where it's pretty easy to get to that one there too, but this is fairly easy. I just go wind the nut on there and a rock washer and just do it up at some point when I remember to get some more nuts for that right size. This here be easy to get to too. It's fairly simple. So yeah, while we sort that out, I get the bits for that, and pull a bit of tape off, pull the ring and everything off, and put it together. It's just sitting there at the meantime. So yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. So yeah, we'll probably go to some lunch and then figure out what we're doing after lunch. Kind of getting somewhere. I think they got this butterfly working around the wrong way, if you know what I mean. I think it needs to operate that way instead of that way. So I need to turn that around. Unfortunately, that's the way they put it in the carburetor. So yeah, it needs to be just the butterfly needs to be turned around, and the shaft needs to be turned around and the butterfly put back in, so that's the opposite way. So I'm going to make this work, because I can't, this piece won't work with the accelerator pump, it's around the wrong direction. I figured a lot of things out. I think I'm going to, I wish I had that fucking TV here, because I would like to watch the video on a big screen at full resolution, and just slow it down and just go through it and pick away at where some of these like screws and grubs and stuff are meant to be. I've worked out most of them. I've pulled some of it back out just because I want to double check. Like most of it's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of it will only go one place, fortunately. But I'm just not 100% sure, because there is a couple of things which could go in different places. To be honest, I don't think it makes a lot of difference. But with some things, like that can only go on there. You know, these here will only fit on the bottom. This one here, I think, is it that one? One of these ones could go up here. But the thread's the right size, if you know what I mean. Or might have been, yeah, because I thought maybe that there could have went in there, but it's too big. The thread's too big, but it winds in there. But I don't know. There's a few things I'm just not 100% sure about. But I got mostly back together. But I think somewhere along the line, with having the stuff in that tray and having it an open size, I reckon there's been a couple little blank off grubs falling away somewhere. So I might have to go dig those other two carburetors out, those other follow-on ones, and just see if there is any little blank off grubs anywhere. There's a couple of little spots in there, because I've got a photo of all the bits laid out, and for some reason there is a couple little blank off grubs missing. Like this little thing here. There's a couple missing for some reason, and I just don't know. I had everything in there when I cleaned it all up, but like everything else, it's fucking been moved a few times, trying to make space for other shit, and I just wonder if it's rattled, because it's got this bloody hole in it. I just wonder if something's jumped out of there, rattled out of there over time. And yeah, they've got misplaced somewhere, like they probably are still around, but it's a matter of hunting them down. But there is those other couple of carburetors, so I can pull them apart, and I might better pinch a couple of little blank off grubs for some of these little holes, just to make sure that they are blocked off, because you can see with the threads, you know, clean in them. There's definitely been something in them. I'm pretty sure that's kind of why I freaking want it. I'm sorry, fucking kicking myself that I deleted that footage by mistake. When I was cleaning up some older footage trying to make some space. I never meant to delete it, but I fucking did. It just brass grinds my, like, those little grubs will be available if those don't happen to, or should better make something or find something to make it work, but pain in the ass. But I think if I watch that footage enough, even though it's a bit fast, even when I've slowed it down, but if I can throw it in the computer and slide it down further if I need to, and just try and pick up maybe a few things, just catch where a couple of these bits and pieces were, just to get them back in the right place, just in case for some reason they need to be in the exact right place, if you know what I mean. But a lot of these things you can look at, you know, you can kind of see that it's had something up against there, but I don't know if it was that, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't really do anything. I like a lot of these things are just blank offs. They kind of don't do anything. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? It's probably just for so you can get in there and clean shit out. But yeah, so we'll get it back together. But yeah, be nice to frickin', would be nice to have that fucking footage, because I actually would have hunted, if I had it, I would have loaded onto YouTube so I could watch it slow on the phone or on another screen or something like that. But so I had it here. That was my plan, but I pulled this apart. But yeah, I kind of fucked that up. But we'll go for a wee wander over here. Just because that shit was all down in here at one point. So I don't know. But we'll go over here. I'll go around the long way, so I'm not tripping over shit. Fucking drives me nuts. All this scaffolding crap's a pain in the ass. Because it used to live over in that back corner, but it's never got. They brought it back the other day, and it's just got shoved there. But let's have a wee nosy in here. That's one. Where's the other one? He's okay over there. The wrong. But we're bound to have a grub or two, you know. There's some of them will be the same, guaranteed. Make sure I know what Studebaker that's off, doesn't it? Probably off an older one. Don't know. Or it could be off a big 6 or something that you wouldn't know. But yeah, we might pinch some bits out of it and just to replace what fucking's gone missing. Hopefully at some point, at some time in my life, I'll get a chance to have my own workshop with all my own shit and my own shelving and nobody else's crap there. And I won't have to move shit around so much. It's a pain in the ass, but anyway. See if I can get some bits out of here and we'll keep working at it. Right, so I managed to scavenge the old bits and pieces out of there. If we need more, there's plenty more in that one, so we'll see if some of these will fit in here. me joking. Right, let's see. So we'll see those spares, those little spare plugs. I get a fucking sneaking suspicion this is not off that. I don't know though. That's why I watch my videos a bit earlier. Right. So, hoping that one there might be a bit like that one there. So we'll take that out. Yeah, it's a pretty close resemblance. Right. And those ones there. Anything like right here? We're bound to have fucking something somewhere. Somewhere over the rainbow, pigs do fly. No? Yeah, I wouldn't give up my fucking day job either. Yeah, we might have tunked down one of those little squares. One of those ones. It might have some of my little collections of bits. Yeah. I know I've seen some somewhere. We'll find one. We'll find one way. Somewhere, somehow. I think we have the technology. Where the fuck did that one come from? I don't know. I think that's surplus stereo crane. It's too small for that. It's too loose. Fits a bit. Doesn't fit. Oh well, let's have a look at the time, and we'll just decide what we're doing here now. Because I'd like to watch that video properly and just double check that Fred, who's who he says he is. I don't know who Fred is, but doesn't really fucking fit in there very well. But yeah, we're kind of there. Kind of talking some shit too. Well, I think I got it back together. Like I said, I'll have to double check that video and slow it down and have a really good look. I think I've got it right now. Just by process of elimination and using some common sense, I guess. So yeah. So this here must be when it's wide open. When it's closed, when the throttle's closed, when it's closed off, it must shut the fuel. I don't know. I would have thought that would have pulled it up when you were going to accelerate, but I'm not sure how the carburetor works either. You know what I mean? Because it definitely doesn't work with the blade running the other way. You can't get this in the right position for it to do anything at all. So, you know what I mean, like the hole's in the wrong position, and according to the original shaft, wherever that's gone, here somewhere. The hell have I done with that? Crikey dick. Put a little bit. Oh, here. So according to the original shaft, so that's the screw side. So everything's in the right place. So if it was the other way around, that's not working at all. Like it's when you go, like it's going the wrong way, if you know what I mean. So unless it's not likely to push down on it, does it? No. But yeah. I'm going to double check the videos and slow it down and get it on a decent sized screen. I'll better see a wee bit better instead of looking at my phone. It's like only freaking 6.5 inches freaking big. But yeah. Well, I think we're together. So that's cool. So
So we'll just have to double check a few things, and then we can mark up a base gasket and bolt it up. And then, yeah, it's just a matter of testing, I guess. And this is your adjustment for your mixture, obviously. And yeah, obviously if you adjust this up and down, it obviously alters this part of it too. So yeah, it's not really a lot to muck around with, you know what I mean. Actually, what does it say on here? Let's have a quick wee nosy. So your idle adjustment and your high speed adjustment screw, that's what those are. Choke, accelerator lever. So yeah, that's pointing in the right direction. I've got that in the right place. You've got your throttle stops, which are these two here. So yeah, we're and again, like you can see that little nut piece there, that's that there. So I think we're all pretty much in the right ballpark, if you know what I mean. I think. Yeah, so like that's that piece. So yeah, we're pretty much in the right, all in the right thing. I don't think I've fucked anything up, if you want to put it that way, if you know what I mean. Going by that, you know, and there's your fuel, which will have to be, I'll probably have to turn that round, or tighten it up and turn it round. But, I don't know, that might be alright. Yeah, this must go, I would think this goes on there like that. So we'll probably have to turn that round. Again, I'll have to double check on photos. It could go both ways. But, you know, when I have a look on the photos of other cars, I'll soon figure out which way around it goes. Actually, let's have a quick wee look here. Got photos of the engine here and there, haven't I? So, let's have a look. So yeah, the bowl goes to the front, so it's that way. That's cool. Yeah, so I'm right. It was alright. So yeah, that'll fit on there like that. I'll just have to screw that fuel line around the other way. I haven't tightened that up yet, if you know what I mean. It's in there, but it's not tight. But awesome. So hopefully we don't have any issues. So yeah, I wasn't too worried. I think there's possibly a little bit of movement in that choke. You know, the choke side of it's a little bit of movement there. It's not going to make a huge deal of difference. It's a little bit of movement in that shaft. I'm more worried about this one. So we had that redone, so it was nice and tight and wouldn't bleed. You know, if it's sucking a little bit of air and past here, it's not going to make much difference by the time it gets there. Like that's your throttle control. So it's only letting a little bit of air past if you happen to have the choke on or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's not going to make a massive difference. Now, worst comes to worst, we can soon make a new bush for that if we had to, or a shaft if it did happen to be a problem. But it's only a choke, so it's no major dramas. Everything else, all the needle and seats and everything all seem to be in reasonable shape. How good, I don't really know, but you know what I mean. Like they all seem to mate into each other, and none of them seem to be horrendously worn. So it's just a matter of putting it in together and putting it on, getting some fuel in it, you know, doing a bit of adjustment and make sure it doesn't flood itself and anything stupid like that. You know, if we do have any issues, we can, you know, maybe we can get a few bits and pieces for the needle and seat, but it looks pretty fucking good in there. It doesn't look horrendously worn out or anything like that. So, yeah. We'll cross that bridge if we have to. If we do happen to have any flooding issues or anything silly like that. Yeah, we'll soon know. It's a fucking fuel piss out here. Righty. That'll do for today, I think. Or I'll bugger off and then totally end the video. I'm not going to make it now, but I might use that for the carburetor gasket because it's nice and thick. So if there is a little bit of unevenness in here and on the intake manifold, hopefully with that being quite a heavy, thick gasket, that might just solve any issues, if you know what I mean. If there does happen to be a little bit of unevenness. But yeah, we'll find out hopefully in the next few days, maybe. See how we get on. Right, morning guys, so welcome back again. So this morning, I'm just going to get straight back into it. I'm going to make a gasket up for this, and then we'll find whatever nuts and bits and pieces fit that manifold. I'll try and get that on there. I think I've got this situated right. Pretty sure we've got this all good. And may have to make a little gasket for up the top here, I'm not sure. I might have to make one for there, just in case, because I'm not sure with this. I think it should be just pulled down, but I'm just not sure whether it will or not. I might have to shorten one of these bolts, because it's not the original, if you know what I mean. I think it might be just a touch long, so you might shorten one of those bolts a little bit. Yeah, I might actually pull that out first. So I pull that out. Just double check that those bolts go there and now. I think they're a bit long, because I was going to originally use, I think it was that one in there, but yeah, it was too long as well. I actually didn't finish tightening it up properly. But yeah, I think we're ready to go there, apart from a bit of tuning and setup. The only thing is, I would say, this is a little bit of a tip from the old man from years ago. If you've got any of these sorts of things, you know, with mixture screws and whatever, the old man always said, for a base, wind her in all the way in, and then wind it out 2.5 to 2.25 turns. So 1, 2, we'll go a quarter. Yeah, they're about thereabouts. We'll do the same with this one. 1, 2, that might be too much. And this, yeah, it's going to be too much. It doesn't go very far. It does, but it doesn't. We'll go 1 turn on this, just see. We'll have to adjust that, but yeah. A lot of times, yeah, Dad said like on mixtures and carburetors and bits and pieces, yeah, 2.5 sort of turns for a base if you don't really know, and go from there. I've used it on a lot of things and it's been pretty close. You know, you might have to dial it backwards and forwards a little bit to get it close, you know, to get it pretty sweet. You know, where the drive good, as long as carburetors, you know, like when I mean, even like Hollies and bits and pieces, but you know, like a lot of stock carburetors and bits and pieces that are on vehicles, yeah, it's a good rule of thumb. Follow it if you don't. Not sure what it's set at, you just wind all the adjustments all the way in, and then just back them out about 2.5, 2.25 turns, and go from there. And it's normally a fairly good happy medium, if you know what I mean. And you normally can get it running reasonably well from that, and then tune it closer, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like I know heaps of guys that have, maybe years ago, there was a guy who had a 7.8 Ford Fairlane over here with a 302 or 351, I can't remember, and had the factory carburetor on it, and he said it always used to run a bit piggy, and he was trying to tune it up one day. And I said to him, why not mix your screws in and then back them all out 2.5, 2.25 turns? And he did that, and we dialed it in a little bit and then set the time and everything. And then all of a sudden he said, holy fuck, he said, we're a different vehicle. And he drove it just normally, just at normal highway speeds, at whatever the speed limit was. And he said, I said, I've never driven it so far and used so little fuel. He said it was incredible. I think he, like at the time, he said, if I could get 400 or 500 Ks out of the tank, he said I was doing really well. But he said I got 700 or 800, out of a V8 from 1970, from the late 70s. He said, he was really surprised. He said it drove really, really well and didn't use a lot of fuel. I think it was a 77, yeah, it was a 77 there on the plate, so yeah. But yeah, he said he couldn't believe it. He said, never driven so well and never used so little fuel. And it had plenty of power, stomp on it, didn't blow black smoke, pulled the plugs, they were burning nice and clean. Wasn't getting hot, wasn't pinking. He says, he stuck with that pretty much all the way through. Now, every time I've talked to him, he said, you should buck that tip you gave years ago from your old man. He said, works well. But anyway, got a gasket made. We'll see if we can tackle up those screws a little bit, just because this doesn't quite pull hard down. I'm just a little bit dubious of that, so we may have to make a little gasket for in there. But yeah, we should better get that on this morning, and at least then work out some index bits. And I better get that fuel canister back on there, and we'll go from there, I think. Now that I've got that carburetor back there. Yeah. And I'll try and work out one over there next, whether after that or whether I go to the rear end and get all that sort of half on, or something else, I'm just trying to decide which direction I'm going to go in, but I'll get this on anyway. And the main part of the fuel, or the tank back on, vacuum tank, at least then we can, at some point we can work out hoses and fittings and whatever else, you know what I mean? All these sorts of bits and pieces. Pretty sure this one's shot, but it's what we need. Is that here that's shot? Oh no, it's this end that's shot. But yeah, get some copper tubing on there. So would have been copper tube fuel on. Way back. So yeah, I'll stop waffling now. I think that'll do the job. It's not the prettiest gasket, but it's quite thick and I didn't want to wail on this and damage the surface. You know, with being brass, it will didn't feel easy. It's not, you know, hard like cast or anything like that, or, you know, a lot harder anyway. So yeah, I'd rather not whale on it. That's why I used, you know, chisel and a drill and whatever. We just bang on it enough to mark where we needed to be. So yeah, we'll find some nuts and we'll get her on. Maybe make a throttle link to the side. Just thinking about making possibly throttle linkage, but just thinking, because I haven't got a ball in underneath where the throttle goes, because the ball that goes in the floor, which is meant to be 2 inches in diameter, it makes it very awkward to set length. So I think what I might try and do somehow, see if I can find a hole saw that is 2 inches roughly on the inside, close to it. So I've got this one here, but it's like 2 and a. It's like 2 1/4. It's too big. This one here is too small, but we do have the other hole saws, but not here. I might go see if one of them is about 2 inches, see if I can just whip up a wooden ball in the meantime, throw in a bit of hardwood or something. Not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm just thinking maybe on the just going to put a piece of wood in the lathe, dads, and put like one of these on the drill, a cordless drill, and you know, go around like that. And just try and make a halfway round wooden ball that will fit in there. Because I haven't had much luck trying to find a steel ball, not without spending like really silly money for one. If we have to, we'll have to, but like $75 for one steel ball is a bit ridiculous. If we have to, but let's see if we might make something up temporary first, just to, and I might try and make a throttle linkage to the other side. Work that out. And I think, I don't know, I might try and make it adjustable, I don't know. But I can maybe find a, you know, something you can wind in and out. The length adjustment right. So if that's right off there now, that there should be right off the carburetor. The biggest problem is it's because the ball's not in the thing.
exactly enough, you know what I mean? We need something about about 14.5 inches long, or about 370 mils thereabouts. Somewhere around about that sort of length. And the linkage from here to here. It'd be nice to just have a little adjustment in it. I don't know whether I can do that or not. That could be adjusted. Probably what I can do is make it straight. Just a straight rod. And I don't know whether I can make a couple of those little bore linkages. So you can just wind them in and out if you needed to. Just independently of each end. And a little lock nut on there. So you can adjust the length. Yeah, I think that really kind of needs to happen. What have I got? Right, why don't we think about what I'm going to do here and come back to you.